Hey guys, today I'm going to do an LC, well two LCs, but they're going to be separated. So first of all, I was going to use a tripod, but I don't know if I'm going to use it for most of my shots because I've just got to show you something. See, kind of takes up most of the kitchen, so we'll see how that goes. But yeah, so the first one I'm going to do is Panna Cotta. Okay, so the first thing you want to do is you want to get your gelatin, which I'm using these packets. See? You want to get that started. So I'll show you how to do that. So just 1 second. Okay, so what you want to do is you want to get about 50 milliliters of water or a quarter cup for each pack you're going to use. Now, normally if you're making normal gelatin, you would use one of these packages to 2 cups of water. But because you don't really want the Panna Cotta to be really, you don't want it to be extremely gelatinous. Like, you don't want it to be like Jello. Well, I don't, anyways. Everybody has their own taste, but you want it to be sort of the consistency of a creme brulee. So I'm only going to use 3 packets for 8 cups of water, or milk. If you're using heavy cream, you would use the normal ratio because the fat in the cream is going to kind of get in the way of the gelatin from forming completely. So what I've done is I have 3/4 of a cup, well, a bit over, of liquid, which I'm using milk because it's a milk Jello pretty much. And I've just put the 3 packets in there, so I'm just going to mix it up a bit. Now, I mean, the first time I made this, I did put it straight into the warm liquid and it didn't turn out lumpy. But you've got to be careful when you do that because a lot of times it will clump together. So then you'll get lumpy Panna Cotta, and nobody wants lumpy Panna Cotta. So yeah, so here's the gelatin started. And now let's move to the big ingredients. Okay, so here I've got 8 cups of milk in this 2-quart, 8-cup, 64-ounce measuring cup, filled to the top. I'm going to put it into this pot. So, yeah, I'll show you once it's in there. Okay, so I've got the milk in here, and I'm just going to not use the tripod for as much as I can because it's really clunky and it's annoying. So here's the milk. I'll show you what it looks like, and then, well, I'm going to have to put you back on the tripod. But anyway, so here's the milk in the pot, and I will now add sugar and vanilla. You're going to want, just 1 sec here. Actually, screw it. You're going to want half a cup of sugar. And it depends on how sweet you like it, right? But generally it's half a cup of sugar for every 2 cups or 4 cups, depending on how sweet you like it. So I'm going to only put a cup of sugar in here because that's still a lot of sugar. And you don't really need that much sugar, but so I'm going with half a cup of sugar for 4 cups of milk. Now, what you can do is you can substitute the milk with heavy cream or half and half, and if you do that, you're going to want to use 1 packet of gelatin for every 2 cups of liquid. So in this case, you'd want to use 4 packs of gelatin, but because I'm using milk, which doesn't have as much fat as heavy cream, obviously, I'm only using 3 packs. So I will put you back on the tripod and then show you the sugar and vanilla going in. Okay, so see you in a bit. Okay, so I've got my 1 cup measuring cup. This is a dry measure, and there is a difference between dry and wet measures. What I'm starting the gelatin in is a wet measure. Now, if you measure dry ingredients in here, you're going to come out with less dry ingredients than it actually says, just because of the characteristics of wet and dry ingredients. So use dry ingredient measuring cups for dry ingredients and wet ingredient measuring cups for wet ingredients. I'm just going to add the 1 cup of sugar. into the milk. Okay. And yeah, so stir that around. And yeah, so basically I'm just stirring it just before I turn on the heat so that the sugar doesn't burn to the bottom. And once you start this, you're going to want to keep stirring it once you turn on the heat. So I will be back in a second. Oh, okay, one more thing. When I was putting the sugar in here, there was a little black thing that fell in. All it was a vanilla bean, part of a vanilla bean. That's a good thing to do with baking sugar that you're going to use for baking. Is just throw a vanilla bean in there, right? And then you can get the vanilla seeds, but it also flavors the sugar a little bit. And vanilla is like salt in the way that it brings out flavor. So it's really good for baking. Like, it's why you put vanilla in chocolate cake and salt in chocolate cake, because it brings out the chocolate. It rounds it out, right? Cooking's all, and especially baking, it's all about balance. You want everything to be balanced, and you don't want any sharp edges, if that makes sense. But yeah, so now I'm going to add the vanilla extract. Now I'm just going to free pour because I know about how much you need. And again, this is up to your personal preference. And you should, like, I personally add a little bit before and a little bit after. Because although, like herbs, you do lose most of the flavor if you put it in before, it kind of changes a bit. But yeah, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn this on to, we'll go medium-high. And you want to scald the milk. So you want it to be bubbling, but you don't want to burn it. And you'll know the difference because you'll be able to smell it first of all, and you'll be able to taste it. Scalded milk slightly changes the proteins and sugars in the milk, and it imparts flavor. It's the same with the charring. You know, it changes the flavor and adds another like level, if you will. So I've got this going, and I'll bring you guys back when it's scalded. And it's gonna take a while because I've got 8 cups of cold liquid that have to be brought up to a high heat. So yeah, so I'll see you guys in a bit. Okay, so I was talking about the vanilla and how it's like salt, and I totally forgot to add the salt. And once again, it's just a flavor thing. It's like adding vinegar to a sauce. You don't taste the vinegar, but it helps round out the flavors. So this is going to help round out the vanilla. And another thing you can do with this is you can put cocoa in it. This is just the basic version. So I'm going to put about this much, actually a little bit more. About this much salt in. It should just be about a pinch for every cup, and that's about 8 pinches because I have big hands. It's actually like 6 pinches, but yeah, so you can do basically whatever you want with this, right? It's pretty much just a base. Like, it's like any sauce or it's like any pasta sauce. You can do whatever you want. You can add coffee, cocoa. You can make it savory and add like rosemary and like, I don't know. You can do it with, well, you can do it with chicken stock because then, oh my gosh. Sorry about that. It just, my tripod's crazy. But yeah, so you can add like, oh, stop it. You can add cocoa, coffee, pretty much whatever you want, right? You can go savory. You could add like, if you're, say you want to serve it with like chicken or something, right? You would add less gelatin so it's more like runny. And you could put like rosemary and some sage, right? So it's really versatile. And yeah, so basically I'm just going to bring this up to a scald now that the salt's added. So yeah, so I'll see you guys in a bit. Okay, so it's just about simmering. And I forgot to say, if you've ever made like chai tea, like real chai tea with like actually, which I'll do an LC of chai tea. That's a rhyme. But yeah, if you've ever made chai tea, it's the same idea, but except less water, obviously, because you're using cream for the whole thing, not just the, right? But when it gets to the point where it's just about to scald, I'm going to show you. You're going to get these, oh my. Okay, you're going to get these bubbles on top. And I don't know if you can see them very well. I'll zoom in, actually. Magic. You see the bubbles? At this point, you want to be stirring constantly because it's going to start burning. So, but as long as you keep it moving, it's fine. And yeah, so it's got maybe 2 more minutes until it's at a simmer, and then I'm gonna let it go for maybe a minute, and then take it off the heat and add the gelatin. And I'll show you how to do that when the time comes. So I'll see you guys in a bit.